Welcome to Sunny's Mindset Lab. This is the place where we explore ancient wisdom, modern psychology, and powerful mindsets, all to help you create a better, richer life.
And today, we are really going deep.
We are. Today, we're undertaking a true deep dive into one of the most foundational texts in, well, the entire world of personal development. It's Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich.
Often called SOGR for short.
Right, SOGR. And if you've been in this world for any amount of time, if you've heard of Rhonda Byrne's massive global hit, The Secret.
Then you're looking at the source code.
Exactly. This is it. Published all the way back in 1910. And it's a short book, but the philosophy inside is so bold, I think it's often misunderstood.
It really is. And what's fascinating, and what I think a lot of people miss if they just skim a summary, is that Wattles didn't intend this as, some kind of motivational prose or philosophy.
No.
He saw it as a rigid, practical manual, a blueprint for action. He laid out what he called a clear, non-negotiable formula. So this deep dive, it's not really just about money.
Not at all.
It's about a philosophy, a science of thinking and acting that Wattles claims, with just absolute confidence, guarantees wealth creation. For anyone.
Regardless of their background, their talent, their current situation.
Exactly. Anyone who follows it precisely.
That word guarantee, that's
Yeah.
a powerful word. It's why we really need to unpack this carefully. So our mission for you, for the listener, is pretty straightforward. We're going to break down every major idea in this text.
And we're going to go far beyond the surface level stuff.
Absolutely. We'll cover the mental laws he talks about, the mandatory mindset shifts, and the practical steps that he says are non-negotiable. We just want to give you the clarity you need to actually implement this.
To turn the knowledge into application.
That's the goal. So let's unpack this science, and let's start with its most provocative and probably most important core idea.
The foundation.
The foundation. Wattles starts by delivering what was, and frankly still feels, like a really shocking statement, especially in circles that praise, modesty or sacrifice.
Or poverty itself.
Yes. The idea that you have an absolute divine right to be rich.
And this is the necessary starting point. It has to be. Because if you secretly believe that wealth is somehow immoral or that poverty is noble,
then the whole system just grinds to a halt.
before you even begin.
Yeah.
Exactly. He challenges this deeply ingrained idea that poverty is somehow virtuous or spiritually praiseworthy. He argues that it's actually impossible to live a truly complete or successful life without being rich.
That's a massive claim. Why does he connect wealth so directly to a complete life?
Well, if you look at the bigger picture, Wattles defines the goal of life as development, the development of your talent, the unfoldment of your soul.
Okay.
And he asserts that to fully develop that talent, to express yourself completely in mind, body, and soul, you must have many things to use. You need tools, education, travel, art, leisure, and all of those things require money.
So poverty isn't just a lack of funds in this view. It's a blockage of your personal growth.
It is, precisely. If you can't get the books you need, or find the time, or be in the right environment, or get the tools for your fullest expression, your potential is it's cut short.
So the desire for riches isn't greed.
He says it's natural and praiseworthy. It's simply the desire for a richer, fuller, more abundant life. And to desire more life, he says, is the desire of the universe itself.
And this is the part that I think even today makes people really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He uses the word sinful. He considers it sinful to be content with less than you're capable of enjoying.
And this is a moment where you really have to pause and reflect, why sinful? It's such a loaded word.
It is.
Because the entire creative impulse of the universe, what he calls source or formless substance, is always moving toward more life, toward expansion. If you willingly accept a lesser existence, a restricted life,
You're pushing against that universal current.
you're cutting short the full expression of your body, mind, and soul. You are literally denying the creative force that's within you. It's a sin against your own nature.
That completely reframes the whole moral argument. It's no
Yes.
longer about, selfish ambition. It's about a universal responsibility.
Think about love, the
Yeah.
most powerful expression of love. Wattles points out that poverty actually denies the natural expression of love.
How so?
Because love naturally expresses itself in giving. A parent with nothing to give can't provide the best care or education for their child. A citizen with no resources can't really contribute to their community's welfare. A partner can't be fully generous.
When you restrict your ability to give, you restrict your love.
You do. So if you really want to serve humanity, if you want to be the best version of yourself, he argues that the most necessary of all studies is the science of getting rich. Because to render that service, you have to maximize your own potential, and that requires wealth.
So you have to get rich for others, in a way, as much as for yourself.
That's the core of it.
Okay, that sets an unshakable foundation then. Wealth is necessary, it's good, it's required for a full life. So now let's get into the mechanics.
Yeah.
If this is a science, Wattles makes this breathtaking claim
Breathtaking is the right word.
that getting rich is an exact science. As precise and certain as algebra or arithmetic.
And this is the pivot point. Because if it's a science, it has to be predictable. It has to be repeatable. Failure, he says, is literally impossible if you learn and obey the laws.
And that means we have to systematically eliminate all the other reasons people think they succeed or fail.
All the usual variables in the popular mind, yes.
But wait a minute. Isn't it a bit naive to say getting rich is like algebra?
Mm-hmm.
If it's so exact, why isn't everyone who follows these rules rich? Or, thinks they're following them?
That's the crucial question. That's the skepticism you have to address, and Wattles knows it's coming. That's why he so carefully dismantles all the common assumptions.
Okay, like what?
Like environment. If success were based on environment, rich people would only live in the best neighborhoods. But he points out, rich and poor live side by side, even in the same line of work. If it were talent, the most talented artist would be the wealthiest. But we all know talented people who are poor, while, as he puts it, blockheads get rich.
So it's not thrift, it's not luck, it's not even finding some unique business that no one else is doing.
None of that. The sole, singular determining factor is doing things in a certain way.
So it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And that how is rooted in some kind of fundamental law of the universe.
Exactly. And that takes us straight into the metaphysical foundation that this whole science is built on. The monistic theory, the idea of the formless substance.
This is the bedrock of the whole book, isn't it? And it's probably the part that requires the most careful acceptance from the listener.
It is. Wattles posits that there is one original, formless, intelligent substance, which he calls thinking stuff, that permeates, penetrates, and fills all the empty spaces of the universe.
So everything we see, everything physical, is just a manifestation of this one original raw material.
That's the idea. Everything you see, taste, and touch is just a different form taken by this one universal energetic stuff.
So the universe, in his view, is essentially a huge reservoir of potential, a living, responsive medium. He calls it a thought world.
Precisely. This thinking stuff responds instantly and creatively to thought. You can't think of it like inert clay. It's living, intelligent potential. When a thought of a form, say, a solar system or a new business, is impressed on it.
The substance produces that form.
Yes.
Okay, but we had to clarify something here because this is where the skepticism really kicks in. Does that mean if I think of a gold bar, it just appears in my hand?
No, and he's very clear on this. The physical thing doesn't just magically appear out of thin air.
Right.
The thought instantly impresses the substance, which sets creative forces into motion. But those forces work through established channels, through trade, commerce, natural laws of growth, human affairs. The substance is intelligent. It finds the most efficient path to bring your thought into reality.
And that path usually involves directing existing people and materials toward you.
Exactly, which is where we come in. This is where we become co-creators.
How so?
Man is defined as a thinking center. We're capable of originating specific, directed thought. The key realization for you, the listener, is that you can impress your specific, detailed thoughts onto this formless substance to cause the creation of the thing you desire.
And that requires absolute faith in this invisible supply.
It demands it. You have to accept that this invisible supply is truly inexhaustible. I mean, look at nature. Is nature poor?
No.
Of course not. The vastness of space, the complexity of a single cell, it all demonstrates this boundless creative energy. Wattles is emphatic. There is more than enough for all. The formless stuff is alive and responds directly to our need for more life.
So if you're worried about things running out, you're operating from the old paradigm.
Scarcity. You're not operating from the scientific reality of abundance.
So the foundational principle is set. The source of all wealth is infinite, responsive, intelligent, and it's activated by your focused thought.
That's the law.
Okay, so if the raw material of the universe is this thinking stuff, and we are thinking centers, then the first step in the formula, and Wattles says it's the most difficult step, has to be controlling that input.
It does. The whole structure just collapses if we can't master the ability to think precisely in this certain way.
It's the absolute starting point, isn't it? It's a commitment to a kind of mental hygiene that, frankly, few people are willing to really do.
Very few. The first step toward getting rich is thinking in a certain way. If you let your mind dwell on poverty, lack, fear, competition, you are impressing that negative pattern onto the formless substance.
And you attract more of it.
You attract more lack, more fear. Conversely, it's only the consistent, sustained, focused thought about wealth and abundance that will align you with that creative impulse.
This is where I think the book gets brutally honest.
Mm.
Because our current reality, our bank account, our health, our job, the appearances, are so often the complete opposite of the truth of abundance we're trying to impress.
And that contradiction is the entire test. That's the work. It brings us to the core challenge. Control. You have to acquire the ability to think what you want to think.
And that means thinking truth.
Yes. Thinking the truth, which is limitless abundance, success, health, regardless of what the current appearances, like poverty or debt or sickness, are screaming at you.
And Wattles does not mince words about how hard this is.
Not at all. He describes this kind of sustained, consecutive thought, especially when what you're thinking is contrary to what you're seeing, as the hardest work in the world.
It's intense mental labor.
It is. And he who acquires this power, who can hold that vision of abundance no matter what, becomes what he calls a mastermind.
Let's break down that concept, a mastermind. How does a person achieve that level of mental control?
It's about vigilance, constant vigilance.
Yeah.
The mastermind refuses to dwell on negative facts. They refuse to let current appearances dictate their future reality.
So an example would be an unexpected bill comes in the mail.
Perfect example. The competitive mind, the ordinary mind, sees the bill and immediately thinks of limited funds, worry, stress.
Right.
The mastermind sees the bill, accepts the reality of that piece of paper, but instantly pivots their mind back to the vision of infinite supply. They know the bill will be paid. They know the resources are already moving toward them.
So it's about filtering reality through the lens of faith, not the lens of your current bank statement.
That's it, exactly. And it demands intense discipline, often for weeks or months, until that vision starts to physically manifest.
It's a constant battle against mental drift, which, makes perfect sense. And this mental discipline is so crucial to avoid a pitfall Wattles warns about so strongly, the competitive mind.
Ah, yes. The competitive mind sees the world as a finite pie, a zero-sum game. And that is the ultimate denial of the formless substance's inexhaustibility.
So you have to get rid of it completely.
Completely. Wattles insists on it. The desire for increase, for more, is natural. But it must harmonize with the purpose that is in society, which means more life for everyone and less life for absolutely no one.
So the formless substance is a creator, not a thief. It will make things for you, but it won't steal from your neighbor to give them to you.
Precisely. The competitive mind operates from scarcity. It sees a limited world, so it fights others for control. It tries to build monopolies. It gains an advantage by making others weaker.
He mentions the plutocrats of his day, right? Rockefeller, Carnegie.
He does. He saw them as playing a kind of necessary but evolutionary role. They often achieved these temporary but deeply unsatisfactory riches because their actions were all based on competition and control.
Their gain involved a loss for someone else.
Which violates the universal law of increase for all.
And the creative mind is the complete opposite of that.
The creative mind sees an endless supply. It creates new value. It finds ways to generate wealth so that other people have more than they did before they dealt with you.
So if you build a business that truly serves people and makes their lives richer, you haven't taken anything.
You've created something new. You've tapped into that infinite resource. And this is the only path to the guaranteed, lasting, and satisfying riches that he describes.
What happens if you slip back into competitive thought?
This is the essential caution.
Yeah.
This is what you must ingrain in your mind. Never look at the visible supply. Never fixate on the monopolized wealth of others, or worry about economic downturns or the number of competitors you have.
You have to look at the invisible.
Always, solely. Look at the limitless riches in the formless substance. The moment you start to think the supply is limited, your power to cause creation is gone, for that time being. Because your thought is no longer in harmony with the truth of the universe, it's a scientific incompatibility.
Okay, so that brings us to the practical mechanisms for actually impressing that thought. It has to start with the clarity of the vision itself, right?
Absolutely. Vague wishes like, I want to be rich, are just. They're useless. They give the substance no instructions. You have to formulate a clear, definite mental picture of what you want.
Specifics.
The specific house, the specific income, the specific lifestyle, even the exact feelings you'll have in that reality.
So clarity is the map, but a map's useless without fuel and direction.
Exactly. And the fuel and direction are purpose and faith. Behind that clear vision, there has to be an unshakable purpose to realize it and an unwavering faith that the thing is already yours.
That it's at hand, as he says.
Yes. He advises you to spend your leisure time just contemplating this picture,
Yeah.
bring out its delightful details. You have to literally live in that new reality mentally. Take on the mental attitude of ownership toward everything in that picture right now.
And this brings us back to control, because a lot of self-help models tell you to use your will to project your thoughts onto other people or force events to happen.
And Wattles says that is a complete waste of energy, a critical distinction.
Why is using the will on ourselves the crucial difference?
Because the will must be used solely to compel yourself to think and act the right way, to keep your own mind fixed on your vision. You're not supposed to project your will onto others or things.
Any attempt to do that is wrong, he says.
Yeah.
Morally and practically.
It's wrong because it's competitive, isn't it?
Right. It assumes other people are obstacles you have to overcome.
Instead of channels that the substance is arranging to help you, the moment doubt or unbelief, which are negative impressions, enter your thought, you check the creative movement of things toward you. So the only valid use of your will is self-control.
And Wattles argues this whole process of mental adjustment, the constant refocusing, is summarized and fueled by one single powerful force.
Gratitude. It is the harmonizing force. He says gratitude is the single word that summarizes the whole process of mental adjustment and atonement, or at-one-ment, with the formless intelligence. It's not just a nice feeling, it's a law of physics.
How does it work as a mechanism, though, not just an emotion?
The law of gratitude states that the grateful mind lives in closer touch with the source of wealth. The thankful outreach of your mind is a liberation of creative force, and the reaction is an instantaneous, reciprocal movement of the substance toward you.
It's like a feedback loop.
It is. When you're genuinely grateful for what you have, you're affirming your belief in the abundance that is. And that affirmation makes your mind take the form of abundance.
So gratitude is like the tuning fork. It makes sure you're vibrating at the exact frequency of the formless substance. Without it, you're always a little out of sync.
That's a perfect analogy. Gratitude keeps your mind looking toward the all, the boundless supply. It stops you from falling into dissatisfaction, which is the root of all competitive thought.
Which would cause your mind to take the form of lack.
Lack in common things, yes. This is why he goes so far as to say you should cultivate gratitude for everything, even for things that seem negative, the plutocrats, the politicians, your rivals, because on some higher level, they're arranging the lines of transmission for your good to come to you.
You have to see the functional role of everything.
Given the challenges.
We've established that the power is in the thought, the faith, the gratitude. But this is where I think a lot of people who follow this kind of philosophy, this is where they fail.
I agree.
Wattles is so insistent, thought alone is not enough. This isn't just theory. It demands personal action.
Yes, he actually calls the failure to connect thought with personal action the shipwreck of many metaphysicians. Thought is the creative power. It sets the forces in motion, but your personal action has to supplement it.
You have to act in a certain way to actually receive what's coming to you.
You do.
Can you explain that mechanism? How does the thought actually influence the physical action?
Well, the mental image, your faith, your purpose, that all impresses the formless substance. That sets the creative forces to work through the regular channels of life.
Trade, commerce, people.
Exactly. So people, resources, and opportunities are literally moving in your direction. Your action has to be designed to receive them when they arrive. The gold might be impelled towards you, but it won't mine itself or coin itself. Men and women have to be led to do that, and you have to arrange your affairs to receive the results of what they do.
Which means the most important focus has to be the present. You can't just wait for the perfect moment.
It's absolutely mandatory. You must act NW. Dismiss the past. Don't dwell on yesterday's failures. And, crucially, don't try to act in the future, worrying about emergencies you can't predict.
Put your whole mind into present action.
Your whole mind. Even if you think you're in the wrong business or the wrong environment right now, you have to use that present situation as the means to grow into a better one.
By acting efficiently where you are now.
You cause yourself to be transferred to the environment you visualize. The universe literally moves you to the right place because you are fully maximizing the place you are in now.
Okay, let's go deeper on efficient action, because he's very specific. It's not just about working harder or longer hours.
Not at all. It is not the number of things you do, but the efficiency and the quality of each separate action that counts. You must do every day all that can be done that day
And do each piece of work perfectly.
in a perfectly successful manner. Whether it's big or small, this is how you signal to the universe that you are ready for more. You have to become larger than your present place by completely filling it and going beyond.
So inefficient acts, no matter how many you do, they lead to failure.
They do because they signal a lack of faith, a mental slackness. A life made of perfectly efficient acts leads to guaranteed success.
But how do you ensure that every single act, even the mundane ones, like answering a tough email or doing a routine task, is efficient?
You infuse it with power. To make each act efficient, you have to put the whole power of your faith and your unshakable purpose into it while you are doing it.
That's the link.
That is the crucial link. That's what connects a commonplace act to the creative power of the universe. When all power goes into every act, that act becomes strong, successful, and its results multiply far beyond the effort involved.
That requires deep control over your mind during the activity itself. It's not just about planning the action.
It's the state of mind while you're executing it,
You're performing the action as the person you are becoming.
not the person you currently are. Exactly. And this idea of action leads right into the rule that has to govern all your interactions with other people. The service principle.
Like, this is one of the most powerful concepts in the whole book, I think. What is that non-negotiable rule of value?
The rule is simple but profound. You must give every person a use value in excess of the cash value you receive from them.
So if you sell something for $10, its production cost might be $8, but the use value, the benefit, the joy, the convenience the customer gets has to be worth $15 or $20 to them.
That's it.
Can we explore that with some real examples? To make it less abstract, if I'm a consultant, how do I give use value in excess of cash value?
Okay, so as a consultant, the cash value is your hourly rate. The use value is the clarity and the strategy you provide. To exceed that cash value, you might spend an extra 15 minutes writing a follow-up summary that saves your client an hour of their own time.
So you're giving them back time. You're giving them an impression of increase.
Precisely. If you're a barista, you might give excessive use value by just remembering a customer's complicated order, adding a genuine, uplifting moment to their day, or keeping the space so clean and inviting that the environment itself is an added value.
And that leads directly to this core mechanism of attraction he talks about, the impression of increase.
Yes. You must convey to everyone you deal with the impression of increase. Why? Because the desire for increase, for more life, more growth, is the deepest human instinct.
So when people feel that they are genuinely growing or receiving unexpected value from you, they're just attracted to you.
They're instantly attracted. It doesn't matter if you're a merchant, a doctor, a wage earner. People will be drawn to the person who makes them feel uplifted and expanding.
If people see that when they deal with you, they're guaranteed to get more life, they'll be drawn to you like a magnet.
That is the scientific mechanism. And the question then becomes, how do you convey that impression without, being arrogant or boastful?
Right.
Wattles says true faith is never boastful. You convey the impression of increase by holding the unshakable faith that you, yourself, are in the way of increase, and you let that faith and certainty just permeate every action, every tone of voice, every look.
So people just feel it.
They feel that sense of increase and advancement when they're in your presence. That silent, assured belief attracts success faster than any advertising ever could. You literally become a creative center that gives off increase to everyone.
Okay, before we recap that full scientific formula, Wattles gives some important guidance on vocation, timing, and how to maintain that delicate mental state. First off, what if someone is in a job they hate, or one that doesn't use their talents?
This is a common question. He says that while it's easiest to succeed in a business that uses your best developed talents, it's most satisfactory and ultimately more successful to do what you want to do.
The desire itself is proof of the potential.
Exactly. The strong desire to do a specific thing is proof that the power to do it is already inside you, just waiting to be developed. But, and this is a big but, if you're in an undesirable business now, you have to use that business as the means to grow into the right one.
You don't wait for a change of environment to act.
Never. You act efficiently and perfectly in your present environment to cause the change that moves you to the right vocation.
So if I want to be a painter, but I'm an accountant right now, I have to be the most efficient, value-giving, faith-infused accountant I can possibly be.
And that very efficiency will generate the resources and opportunities you need to make the transition to painting. You have to fully occupy the present moment.
What about timing? When do you make a big move?
He says, do not hurry, do not act hastily. On the creative plane, there's never any hurry or lack of opportunity. Hurry is always competitive.
And if you hurry, you cease to be a creator.
You become a competitor again. You fall back to that old chaotic plane of reacting to limited appearances. When you're in doubt, just wait. Fall back on contemplating your vision and increasing your gratitude.
That will bring your mind into unity with the all-mind.
So that you make no mistake. Mistakes come from acting in fear or doubt or haste, all products of the competitive mind.
We've talked so much about mental control. Wattles offers some very specific concluding cautions, almost like a mental diet for the mastermind.
Yes, maintaining that faith is everything, and it's so easily lost through careless speech, so you must guard your speech with unwavering discipline.
Never speak of yourself or your affairs in a discouraging way.
Never. To deny failure with your words is to affirm abundance. If you let yourself talk about hard times or economic struggles or doubt, you are denying your faith, and you will lose that necessary mental impression for creation.
But reality is messy. What if you experience what really seems like a setback? A deal falls through, a loss happens.
You have to regard that seeming failure as only apparent. If you hold to your faith, a larger and better opportunity than the one you sought will certainly come.
He tells a story about that, right?
He does, about a student whose business deal failed, only to find a far superior opportunity a few weeks later. The supreme intelligence, because it sees the whole plan, might prevent you from getting entangled with a lesser good if you just maintain the faith that everything is working for your increase.
And what about all the external worries? News, politics, conflicting theories.
This goes back to the mastermind's ability to filter. Don't concern yourself with obstacles or disasters that appear at a distance. Financial panics, political turmoil.
They'll either disappear, or you'll be given what you need to overcome them as you approach.
Every difficulty carries with it the wherewithal for its overcoming. And furthermore, because this is an exact science, he's very prescriptive. Study this book daily. Don't read pessimistic literature. Don't dabble in conflicting theories.
If you get mixed up in your faith, all your efforts will be in vain.
You need a singular focus on this monistic truth of inexhaustible, responsive substance.
Okay, this brings us to the final, comprehensive, non-negotiable formula. If a listener were to write down the 6 essential, scientifically required steps, what are they?
We can lay it out. And remember, this formula, when it's executed with absolute precision, he says, is guaranteed to produce results. First,
Start with the thinking substance.
monism.
Right. You have to realize that all is one, it's inexhaustibly creative, and it responds to your thought. You have to accept this as fact, no matter what things look like.
Number 2 is the vision.
Form a clear, definite mental image. A precise, specific, detailed vision of exactly what you want to have, do, or become.
Third, hold that vision with purpose and faith. Unwavering purpose and absolute faith. You take the mental attitude of ownership now, and you only use your will for self-discipline.
Fourth is gratitude.
Maintain that atonement through deep and continuous gratitude. For everything you have and everything you're receiving, it unifies your mind with the formless.
Fifth, action. Present action.
Actively receive. Do every single day all that can be done that day, and perform each act efficiently by infusing it with the power of your faith. Act in the present.
And finally, number 6, the service principle.
Convey increase. Give a use value in excess of the cash value you receive, and always convey that impression of increase to everyone you deal with.
And Wattles guarantees the powerful conclusion here. If you combine thought plus faith plus action according to this certain way, it is scientifically impossible for you to fail.
The formula is universal, and the results are predictable.
This whole deep dive into the science of getting rich, it forces us to rethink the very nature of desire, effort, reality itself. If, as Wattles argues, the desire for riches is simply the capacity for a larger life-seeking fulfillment, what specific action are you taking today, this very hour, in your present environment, to ensure that capacity is being expressed?
The formula is clear, it's detailed, and it's simple enough to be adopted right away.
It is.
Remember, and I really want you to accept this fully, The greatest power you possess is not external. It's not in your environment, your talent, or your money.
Yeah.
It is in your unwavering control over your own mind.
The ability to maintain the truth of your vision, regardless of appearances.
That is the ultimate secret. That's what makes the formula unstoppable.
Take this knowledge, apply the formula, and become that advancing personality.